We are finally going back home, and there's a freaking abyss invasion waiting for us. What a wonderful Windbloom festival this is gonna be. Anyway, today we're talking about the 5.6 livestream to try and figure out what is going to happen, but first, this is a theory video and leaks are prohibited in the comment section. I will use information available in the game, but my theories and conclusions are not to be considered the official lore of the game, unless I got something right and it's confirmed in a later update of the game itself. Well then, please rise, the core of the Knights of Favonius is now in session. Let's start with the Cheval Marin film Fantasyland. Navia built an amusement park for the festival. There we will meet Escoffier and somehow we'll eventually end up helping her with a cooking face-off at Hotel de Boer. And somehow this showdown will even lead us to the public baths from ancient Remuria mentioned in Modeste's codex. A totally normal series of events. I was honestly surprised that Remuria was brought back into the story. I really thought it was gonna be abandoned like my beloved Enkanomiya. Anyway, we will meet a Praetorian Golem there who is still trying to defend and protect Remus, but above all, Escoffier talked about some drug that Remuria used for their war machines. I don't see how a drug can be used for a machine, but we should also consider the fact that in Japanese, she just says that Remuria prepared this drug for war, there's no war machine at all. So this might have something to do with the cup of primordial seawater Egeria gave Remus, or maybe with the twisted, corrupted ichor he eventually concocted, but it sounds too much for a character story quest, to be honest. Now, one of the essential materials needed for Escoffier comes from the New World boss, Secret Source Automaton Overseer device. But there is a huge problem you might not have noticed. The area we see in the minimap doesn't exist in Atlan, not yet at least. This gets even more complicated because we can see the volcano in the distance, and looking at the position of the islands of the Skyfire Circlet and the thick fog, the only place this could be is actually this unreleased map where Marijivari should have been. This is huge news, they're giving us a new area of Natlan without saying anything about it, so we are most definitely going to Marijivari in 5.7. I mean, the real one, wherever it disappeared to. Anyway, this boss used to be the Lord of the Source Mechanisms, and it has the same origins as the configuration device from 5.1. As Escoffier's voice actress said, the two world bosses look like two pieces of a single huge automaton, so the Overseer was the stone head while the configuration was the body. But did you notice something peculiar about these two automatons? Don't they look a little bit too much like the Tenebrous Papilla? Considering that the Abyss monster tries to imitate Irminsul, does this mean that the dragons also took the word tree as inspiration for their constructs? Moving on, because of the festival, the restaurant needs fresh vegetables from Natlan, so our trusty farming hero Auroran will come to Fontaine to deliver his produce, together with the skeleton vet Aoife, and oh boy, that Dia de los Muertos Night Soul blessing is amazing. Of course, they had to arrive in the first 3 days of the month, when Fontaine, for whatever inexplicable reason, still has the unreasonable law that bans flying objects within the core. I suppose they will be stopped by either the Gardamek or the Maison Gardiennage, scaring off Kakuku that will end up flying into the Palais Mormonia straight to Neuvillette and Risley, who will luckily protect him. Of course, having Kakuku, a Saurian, Ahau, the last Dragon Lord of Tolan, and Neuvillette, a Dragon Sovereign, in the same room will be the most entertaining and potentially revealing interaction of all time. I mean, despite his awful personality, Ahau used to be a Dragon Lord that fought against the Heavenly Principles, and he knew the original Water Dragon Sovereign, so he might disclose some pretty interesting lore while speaking with Neuvillette. I wonder if he'll try to act all high and mighty even with the Sovereign. Anyway, we heard in the trailer that Neuvillette got stabbed, but somehow I think it won't be anything serious at all. I cannot imagine Kakuku flying toward him, pecking him by accident, but this will probably get Aoife involved. He is a vet, he heals the Saurians, and they are devolved dragons, so again, another funny interaction because Neuvillette can technically be one of his patients. Back to the quest, since Capitano solved the Night Kingdom crisis, the people of Natlan can now freely leave the nation, which also means that some bad people will also start messing around in other nations. Enter Kinich, who went to Fontaine because a group of Natlanese people has been smuggling secret source parts to Fontaine, among which a particular gun that will have some relevance to the story, and during the investigation Kinich will also meet and team up with Wriothesley. I guess that some of the people who grew up alongside the sun and wind will end up in a place where there's no sun nor wind for a very long time. With that out of the way, it's time to talk about the most exciting part of the update, Albedo's trial. First of all, the Archon quest is called Paralogism, and in case you don't know what it means, just like me, it's basically an illogical reasoning, something that is either superficially logical or something only the one speaking believes to be logical. To make it easier, in Chinese the title is Beili, Paradox, while in Japanese it's Haidi, which means absurdity or irrationality. So, as we've known since forever, Albedo is the best synthetic human created by Gold Daughter, one of the sinners of Conria, while trying to create a primordial human. She used him as an assistant/slave, but as soon as she found the heart of Naberius, she simply abandoned Albedo in Alice's hands while giving him one last task: to find the truth of the world. Now 5.6 will see Albedo being secretly tried by both the Knights of Favonius and the Church of Favonius for murder and unlawful disposal of human remains. Jean will be the judge. The prosecution is led by the logistics captain Hertha, who seems to have compelling evidence against Albedo, while the defense is led by Kaya. I guess it's Kaya solidarity time. In the room, we can see that obviously the Traveler and Sucrose are on Albedo's side, but also Eula and, surprisingly, Rosaria. She's been following Albedo for a long time because she knows he's sus, but this might be a good thing because she might be able to provide him with an alibi. On the other side, against Albedo, there's Diluc. I guess any time is a good time to go against the Knights of Favonius. To make it even more complicated, Dahlia, the deacon of the Church of Favonius, proposed a scenario in which Albedo, being a synthetic human, might have lost his sanity and went on a K spree, I can't say that word on YouTube, which not only means that he knows who Albedo really is, but also that everybody in the courtroom now knows his secret origins. Anyway, the Traveler and Kaya will be allowed to search for evidence in Albedo's office on the second floor of headquarters, so finally these stairs won't lead into a ceiling anymore. And we also heard something pretty interesting in the trailer. Someone said that she never abandoned the subject of human research, which makes me think that this is Ryan's daughter speaking. Sadly, her Japanese voice actress from the Mage's Tea Party, Tanaka Atsuko, passed away last year, so she will have a different voice moving on. The new voice actress sounds a lot like Hyoko Hikasa, Freya from Danmachi. On the other hand, in Chinese the voices in both videos sound exactly the same, which means that there's a very high chance that this is actually Ryan's daughter speaking, and the absence of sound effects to the voice sounds like it won't be a flashback, nor will she be speaking through the communication device, so she might actually make an appearance during the Archon quest. It's a slim hope, but miracles can happen, so let's cross our fingers. Next in this Archon quest, Venti will try to have a formal meeting with the Hexenzirkel, but I'm not sure if it's for Albedo's trial or for the invasion of Mondstadt that we'll talk about later. Still, on the first try, Varka will be answering the call, which will be awesome. We finally get to hear him speaking, and he even knows who he even knows who Venti actually is. On the second attempt instead, Alice will answer, which means that they are together in Notcry. She will require the traveler to pass a trial before the Hexenzirkel decide to help, which isn't that surprising to be honest. The Hexenzirkel clearly have some screw loose, and that's an understatement. They live as if they don't belong to Teyvat, they don't really care what happens in the world, they only care about their own desires and interests. Anyway, we will end up fighting against chess pieces on a chessboard, and this is very important. Not only is the fate of the world decided on a chessboard like in the Winter Night's Lasso video, but this also solidifies the fact that the writers used Alice in Wonderland as an inspiration for Alice, who I still believe to be Arisu from Enkanomiya, but that's irrelevant right now, mainly because the Queen and King do look like the King and Queen of Hearts. So the game before the gate will have two phases. The first one will take place on the chessboard and is presided over by Alice, while the second one happens on the other side of the chessboard and it will be presided over by the old hag, Barbeloth, who also says that only by turning the world on its head can we see its true colors, so she's hinting, once again, at Teyvat being capsized. Of course, the king and queen we will fight in the second phase should also remind us of something else. The pieces on Piero's chessboard are in the same position as the 1996 game between Kasparov and the computer Deep Blue, except for the king and queen that in Genshin Impact are inverted. The queen piece is also the animal gnosis, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Venti, the owner of that same gnosis, called Alice for help and we ended up fighting on the chessboard. This sounds like they're about to spill some boulder-sized beans about the truth of Teyvat. It's time to talk about Mondstadt's invasion. This is gonna be very tricky to figure out because there are quite a few possibilities and all of them can be equally feasible. First of all, I wouldn't call this an abyss invasion like the ones in Natlan for a simple detail. The monsters are all cryo and they are enveloped in an ominous red glow. These details plus Albedo's trial point toward one conclusion: Dragonspine. When we first saw the 5.6 thumbnail, most of us, me included, debated ourselves into thinking that this was finally Durin's revival, but we were wrong, although not completely. He won't come back in this update, but it seems like this is something like a prelude for it. They're giving us the knowledge and the context we're still missing. So the backstory in short is that Durin was created by Rhindaughter, so he's Albedo's brother, and he was eventually defeated by Venti and Dvalin on Dragonspine, where his blood seeped into the already broken ley lines, corrupting and bringing back to life the Irminsul tree that the Celestial Nail broke when it shattered. In that quest so long ago, we had to offer Crimson Agate crystals to the Frostbearing tree to receive rewards, like the Winds My Diluc still uses and the name card I'll never change, and these crystals had the same exact red glow as the monsters in 5.6. Now, the voice actors in the livestream also said that this invasion may be related to the worldwide leyline crisis we've been experiencing lately, like Natlan's destroyed leylines, Liyue's sudden leyline crisis that almost took Hu Tao's life to solve, but also maybe the Thunder Sakura issue we witnessed in the Shogun's character Sori quest. Maybe the war the Shogun is getting ready for also has something to do with this. When it comes to Dragonspine though, things are more complicated because Durin's blood has corrupted the ley lines, and his impending revival might be affecting everything on Dragonspine, like the monsters that live on the mountain that are now marching into Mondstadt. My best bet is that they are being unintentionally controlled by Durin's blood into seeking the one who defeated him out of revenge, and Venti is right there in Mondstadt. Of course, this is not all there is to it. The description of the Archon quest we saw in the livestream gives us some hints about what's happening, although I gotta say the English version is always overcomplicated to the point of making it nigh impossible to understand. In Japanese and Chinese instead, things are way easier. It reads something like, "Great achievements are born at the moment miracles and life intersect." that brilliance is beyond the reach of those with ordinary knowledge and a good heart. And so far it seems to be talking about Rhine-daughter reaching the apex of alchemy with the creation of life, something she was able to achieve only thanks to her vast knowledge and ruthless ways. But the next two sections tell us that we might not be talking about her. Morality and ethics are just a cover for the hypocrisy of the arrogant that comes from the darkness. Just like a brother and a mother who seek to swallow up everything in their desires. Although in Chinese this one says, it devours everything it desires like its brother, like its mother. These last two sections basically mean that Albedo is back. For those who didn't play the event or don't remember it, after creating Durin, Rhine-daughter created the first version of Albedo, officially known as Primordial Albedo, aka Albedo, but she deemed him a failure, so she had Durin swallow him whole. A long time after Durin's death, Albedo came back to life because of Durin's blood, and he saw that the next Albedo his mother created, the one we know, the most successful result of the experiment, was living his best life among the humans. So Albedo got envious and devised a wicked plan. Albedo learned everything that Albedo had studied in his life in order to perfectly impersonate him. Then used this knowledge and Durin's blood to create yet another Albedo, the Fell Flower, aka Whopper Albedo, to distract and eventually dispose of the real Albedo, in order to finally take his place. But the Traveler ended up on Dragonspine, so his plan failed. Albedo then confronted Albedo, but we've never been told what really happened. We don't know if Albedo died or not, only that his plan failed. I've personally always believed that they reached an agreement, and Albedo got what he wanted, that is to live among the humans, by impersonating Yosurf, the guy who most definitely died on Dragonspine, who suddenly appeared at the end of the quest, seemingly having lost his memories, and this NPC is not event exclusive. He suspiciously became a permanent NPC in the adventurers camp even if a player hasn't played the event. Now, the only way to tell Albedo and Albedo apart is the golden star mark on the neck, but at the very end of the quest, Albedo hides it for a split second to allegedly scare the Traveler. This to me was a message to the Traveler, one he didn't really understand, and above all to the players. Don't trust the mark, it means nothing. So, let's get to the point. What might be happening in 5.6? Option A. The Albedo from the quest ending has always been Albedo, while the real Albedo stayed on Dragonspine to check and study during survival. This would explain why, when he told us the backstory, he defined himself, Albedo, as Subject 1 and Albedo as Subject 2, even though Albedo was created before Albedo. Option B. Albedo went crazy because of Durin's revival. He was brought back to life by Durin's blood, so he's experiencing the same desire for revenge as the monsters invading Mondstadt, disposing of people here and there. Hertha saw something that gave her the idea that it was Albedo, but the real one simply can't tell the truth because maybe he's trying to save him. Option C. Whopper Albedo is the culprit because he was created with Durin's blood, so same as before, he went crazy because of Durin's revival. Option D, like in the description of paralogism, Albedo might be doing this of his own volition. He sees Albedo as the arrogant who limits himself with morality and ethics to hide his dark origins and hypocrisy in order to fit in with humanity. But he, Albedo, is different, he won't stop at anything. He used Albedo's knowledge and ruthless methods, maybe the dead people Hertha found, to create life, so after Whopper Albedo there might be yet another something Albedo coming in 5.6. And to achieve his goals, he is willing to take down both his brother and his mother. Whichever the right option is, if one of them is even right anyway, this quest is going to be one of the best ones ever. To conclude the video, we need to talk about the winner of the sussiest character in 5.6 award, Dahlia. We've known of his existence since forever. He's always trying to convince Rosaria to act like a nun, but now that he finally appeared, things are getting very weird. First of all, he has a silver vision like Auroron, Arlecchino and Child, and every elite Fatui soldier. We still don't know why some visions are silver instead of gold, but I think there are only two real possibilities about this. It may be related to a person's incomplete soul. Auroron has half soul, Arlecchino has the first curse of Karya, the one laid upon the Crimson Moon dynasty that may have broken part of her soul, and Child's one might have been damaged when he fell into the abyss without a vision or when he encountered the old Varin Narwhal there. And there's also a chance he's related to Ajax, the Voyager and Hyperborea. The other possibility, the one I believe the most, is that these people have successfully defied fate. Arlecchino is stated to have done so. Auroron was meant to die when the Masters of the Nightwind used him in a ritual when he was a child, and Child again survived the Abyss and the Narwhal. When it comes to Dahlia, he fits in both scenarios, because in case you didn't notice, his ears and pupils are the same as Neuvillette, which might mean that Dahlia is a Dragonborn, or even better, a hybrid between a human and a dragon. I propose the hybrid option because the dragons don't belong to Teyvat, they come from the old world, and they don't even have constellations. Neuvillette's one is just something the Melusims came up with on a whim, for example. If their life is not decided by fate, then they shouldn't be able to receive a vision, a problem that doesn't exist if it's a hybrid. What's also interesting is that Dahlia would be the first ever higher or supernatural being in Mondstadt, since it was the only nation without any, which has always been very strange. Would a Dragonborn or a Dragon hybrid be a 4-star character in Genshin Impact? Totally, he is a guy, and we know how unimportant male characters have become since Narlan. Now, Dahlia acts as the herald of Barbados, and he is curiously Venti's friend. This could be the usual overused trope in anime and games, so he unknowingly befriended the god he worships, or, considering that he knows stuff people wouldn't normally know, but also that Varka actually knows that Venti is the Anima Archon, Dahlia might simply also know who Venti is. I wouldn't exclude the possibility. One last thing about Dahlia is also very weird. If he has dragon origins and he's from Mondstadt, the land of Anemo, isn't it odd that he is a Hydro character? Is it just a coincidence that he shares the same features and element as Neuvillette, and they also both appear in the same update? I don't know, that's kinda sus. But luckily we'll know very soon because 5.6 is right around the corner. And that's it, I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and if you're interested in Genshin Impact theory videos, consider subscribing. My next video is gonna be about the Fontaine Quest. I was already writing the script before the 5.6 livestream, but I had to pause to make this video. It will probably come out in the first week of 5.6, and after that, I'll make a video about Albedo's trial, of course. Well then, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, over and out.